King Philip's War was the last serious threat to the survival of English settlements in North America. It erupted when Metacom, known to the English as King Philip, the Wampanoag chief, led a series of attacks that shook the New England colonies to their core. At first, Native American warriors scored alarming victories, threatening the very future of English life in the region. But this brutal struggle did not come out of nowhere. The Wampanoag had been the first to greet the Pilgrims who arrived on the Mayflower in 1620. For decades, they and the English lived side by side in relative harmony across the forests of eastern Rhode Island and the Cape Cod area of Massachusetts. That fragile balance began to crumble in the 1650s and 1660s. Two developments fueled rising tensions: relentless missionary efforts to convert native communities and the insatiable English appetite for land that eroded traditional Wampanoag territories. Leaders across native nations watched with alarm as their world narrowed and their autonomy slipped away. The final spark came in 1675. Several Wampanoag warriors were convicted of murder in an English courtroom and hanged. They had allegedly killed a fellow Wampanoag who informed English settlers about a planned tribal attack. To Philip, the execution of his men was an intolerable provocation. Enraged, he organized raids on outlying English settlements across New England, turning frontier towns into targets and pushing fear deep into the colonial heartland. In those early months, native forces held the momentum. English defenses buckled, and the sheer speed and scale of attacks made recovery feel impossible. Yet the scattered native alliance lacked a unified long-term strategy for defeating the colonists. That hesitation gave the English time to regroup, rearm, and retaliate with grim determination. By the spring of 1676, the tide had turned. English soldiers moved from defense to destruction, burning and breaking native villages and supply lines. Philip's network unraveled. Forced to flee and constantly hunted, he was driven into the wilderness as the net closed. In August 1676, King Philip was finally cornered and killed. His remaining warriors met a brutal end. Many were executed or sold into slavery, bringing the war to its devastating conclusion. Midway through this turning point, I want to hear from you. How should we remember the moment that sparked the war, the hangings in 1675? Were they an unavoidable clash of two legal worlds, or a preventable step on the road to catastrophe? Share your thoughts and debate respectfully in the comments, because how we frame this moment shapes how we understand the entire conflict. The aftermath shook New England's identity. Many frontier settlements had been wiped off the map, and some Puritans interpreted the war as divine retribution for the sins of the settlers. The region would take decades to recover from the losses of King Philip's War. For Native Americans in New England, the consequences were even more devastating. The conflict shattered their military power in the region and marked a disaster that reshaped their future. The war's legacy lingered in chilling ways. After their victory, vindictive settlers beheaded King Philip and displayed his head on a pike in Plymouth, where it remained for decades as a decaying warning to potential enemies. In Boston, authorities passed a law during the war forbidding Indians from entering the city. Although it had not been enforced for centuries, that rule stayed on the books long after the fighting ended, remaining until its repeal in 2005. Yet even amid destruction, a different chapter eventually began. Philip's Wampanoag people, nearly erased in the aftermath, endured and rebuilt. In the 20th century, they rebounded, and in 1987 received federal recognition, a testament to survival in the face of profound loss. If you want more history told with clarity and intensity, subscribe to U.S. Daily History for deep dives into the episodes that forged America's past. King Philip's War was not just a clash of armies. It was a collision of worldviews, laws, and lands that neither side could easily relinquish.